So the latest on Iran is that Trump put forward a deal last week, and then Iran responded with a joke, an absolute joke of a deal. And thank God Trump called it out. And this tells me, guys, that he is done. He's done, and we're about to see some action. I don't know what that action is going to look like. It might look like much more choke points on their economy. It might look like going full-fledged bombing them to the Stone Age. I don't know. But I can tell you, I've been watching Trump long enough where I can see when his patience is running out. And here we are. It says, I've just read the response from Iran's so-called representatives. I don't like it. Totally unacceptable. Now, the other part that's interesting is when he called them so-called representatives. In other words, he's putting them down that I don't recognize you guys as real leaders, which means you're expendable, which means maybe we see them get expended here soon. I personally am kind of hoping to see it. I don't necessarily need to see us go full on crazy kinetic. I'm not one who gets excited about that stuff. If it happens, I'm going to be on the side that believes it's for the best and we'll end up well, and we'll obliterate whatever's left of them. But seeing these evil people who are in charge get taken out, that I can support and be excited about. So, but Trump telling them that they're not really the leaders, very interesting. And this is what one of the parts of what they came back with. Tehran's proposal stresses U.S. must pay compensation for war damages, emphasizes Iran's sovereignty over the Strait of Hormuz. Yeah, good luck with that. Now, Tom Luongo calls it out. Does this sound familiar? Russia must pay war reparations for winning. That is exactly part of the deal they tried to put together for Ukraine. We all know, I mean, at least we should, because it's extremely obvious, that Davos / City of London / EU globalists are behind the war in Ukraine and Russia. They don't want it to end. They hate Russia, and they're trying to draw us in. They need that war machine to keep running so they can they don't have much left. So let me put it that way. And it's one of the few things they have left to fund themselves and to hopefully weaken the U.S. and Russia. But this is the same words. Who on earth has ever been losing and gone to the winner of a war and asked for reparations? It doesn't happen. It's never happened. It never will happen. But it is definitely a playbook of them. And as Tom Luongo points out, this isn't Iran. This is Davos. Again, once you see it, you can't unsee it. Iran is a proxy for City of London / Davos / WEF / Cabal, whatever you want to call them. Okay, they are a proxy for them. They've been the main driver of destabilization in the Middle East, which is a trigger. They can, it's a switch they can flick on and off whenever they want, whenever they need to. We need destabilization. Try to get a war going. On. We need to calm things down. Off. That's a reason why Iran is a state sponsor of terror, #1 in the world. Hezbollah, Hamas, so on and so forth. Keep dragging Israel in. Israel gets a lot of flack for stuff that isn't actually their fault. Okay, a lot of it is their fault. I'm not condoning everything they do. Not at all. I'm not a Israel's perfect stan, but I'm also not Israel controls everything. That's also retarded. But this is more and more proof of that. Okay, because you have a lot of interest in that region, especially if you look at it from a globalist perspective. We need control of the Middle East. And as they've been losing that control more and more, especially as Trump's bringing in the Abrahamic Accords, bringing in all these trade deals with individual nations, which is putting them at peace with Israel and the U.S., they are losing it. Iran's the last one they have. On top of that, Iran controlled the Strait of Hormuz, so shipping and oil. And all you got to do is look at the Khomeinis real estate empire that's in the UK that's worth like somewhere between 30 and 60 billion, and whoever, depending on who you ask. There, all those ties are there. The IRGC has a lot of connections to MI6. So you just keep looking at it and you can't unsee it. And again, the language tells you a lot too. It's the same playbook. So Trump just absolutely obliterated Iran after this because, again, it's coming down to the final showdown. We got to see what he's going to choose to do. But he says Iran's been playing games with the U.S. and the rest of the world for 47 years. Delay. And then finally hit pay dirt when Barack Hussein Obama became president. He was not only good to them, he was great. Actually going to their side, jettisoning Israel and all other allies, giving Iran a major and powerful new lease on life. Hundreds of billions of dollars. $1.7 billion in green cash flown into Tehran. Excuse me, I got a cough. Sorry for that. Flown into Tehran, handed to them on a silver platter. Every bank in D.C., Virginia, and Maryland was emptied out. So much money, and when it arrived, Iranian thugs had no idea what to do with it. They'd never seen money like this and never will again. It's taken off the plane, suitcases, satchels. Iranians couldn't believe their luck. They finally found the greatest sucker of them all in the form of weak and stupid American president. That's one way to say it. He was a disaster as our leader, not as bad as sleepy Joe Biden. He always makes me laugh, man. For 47 years, Iran's been tapping us along, keeping us waiting, killing our people with their roadside bombs, destroying protests, recently wiping out 42,000 innocent, unarmed protesters, laughing at our now great again country. They will be laughing no longer. So again, just ramping up. I love how he just painted this beautiful story in here. You know, few people understand what Iran accomplished because of Obama, like with that money. How few people have heard this. It's you had to have been paying attention. And so every time Trump truths something out like this, guys, major wake-up call for people. And then they can start seeing how it all came together. Trump's what he's doing, he's setting the stage. He's building the argument. He's letting us all know, listen, we're still in it with Iran. Here, American people, read what I have to say on this so you can understand why I have to finish this. And also how our people got us here. Obama, Biden, so on and so forth. It's very brilliant, actually. And again, it tells me we're ramping up for something major. As Trump is going full force on this now. Whereas the last few weeks he's been like, we'll get there. We'll get a deal. It's coming together. We're talking ceasefire. He's been very kind of nonchalant, and the language is now ramping up. I got to tell you, this pissed him off. Trump is he's no happy about this one. And you don't want to make this man angry. Here's POTUS giving us a little insight into how they're watching Space Force and the uranium. This is very interesting.
Where are we in the war if we've not yet gotten the nuclear materials, the enriched uranium from them?
Well, we'll get that at some point, whatever we want. We have it surveilled. I did a thing called Space Force, and they are watching that if somebody walked in, they can tell you his name, his address, the number of his badge. No, we have that very well surveilled. If anybody got near the place, we will know about it, and we'll blow them up.
Where are we?
Okay, so that defeats that whole PSYOP narrative going around that Iran, I saw it a couple weeks ago, Iran was regathering up their uranium, and Trump's like, no, if we see anybody doing that, we'll bomb them. This whole Space Force thing, though, is interesting, right? Okay, he has so many people absolutely terrified with Space Force because they have so much power that I don't think we even recognize. What Trump has done with them is given them this, think about it this way. Foreign nation, and Trump just said, if you show up, we can see your name, address, everything. He just basically said, you guys can't hide. There's nothing you can do to get us to stop watching you. In other words, we have it all. Now, this isn't just for Iran. This is for all the deep state actors. Hey, we see you in your super shady meetings. We see you trying to travel and put together a deal behind our backs. We see all this movement. That's terrifying to these people, guys. Okay? Absolutely terrifying to them. So, I mean, the cards Trump holds in this Iran thing, when everybody's out there in the media, oh, Trump's losing this. Trump's falling apart. We're, Iran, they got us. They got us dead to rights. They are going to wait out Trump. They're going to beat us. They're going to keep the Strait of Hormuz. It's such a nonsensical argument. It's such a crazy argument. But the Space Force thing is very interesting, and we don't get much insight into it. But we just got a little bit, and that has repercussions and meaning far beyond just what he said in this interview. Now, we're starting to get a lot of talk out of Europe about kind of like the next steps, because they know it's all falling apart for them. The City of London grift, the European Union grift, it's all starting to fall apart. They're crushing it, okay? Well, on Timothy Ash from Chatham House, by the way, has ties to Mr. Steve Bannon, says the only country in Europe with a serious amount of military personnel is Turkey. Turkey no longer feels much need for Europe. Turkey must become aware of Turkey's advantages. Europe must give something on its membership process. In other words, guys, they're trying to get Turkey in because they know they're about to lose the U.S. as their military, and they need some might to keep things going. And as Tom Luongo writes here, the one place they can decamp to after destroying London on their way out the door, remember the first rule of Locust, strip the place bare and then only then find a new place to settle. There's a lot of talk about this Turkey becoming a new hub because it's the only EU place, globalist place still handled. Erdogan is Muslim Brotherhood, okay? It's the only place left that has a military. And so watching this and how this plays out is going to be very interesting, because of their military might, we might see a lot more push to make Turkey a big part of Europe. And people have been talking about this for a while. They're the only, like, that once Iran's gone, they just have no military outside of Turkey. So something to watch for. Here's Trump again talking about the ceasefire in Iran and the deal that was just given.
For the time being, the ceasefire remains in place.
You know, it's unbelievably weak. I would say, I would call it the weakest right now. After reading that piece of garbage they sent us, I didn't even finish reading it. I said, I'm not going to waste my time reading it. I would say it's one of the weakest right now. It's on life support. They understand these are all medical people. Dr. Oz, life support is not a good thing. Do you agree?
Bad prognostic.
I would say the ceasefire is on massive life support, where the doctor walks in and says, sir, your loved one has approximately a 1% chance of living.
For the time being, the ceasefire.
I love that analogy. Here's Trump with some more. I think this just happened this morning, by the way, guys. So this is the latest.
Can you tell us anything about that proposal and what, if any, effort was made to break this down?
Yeah, it was just unacceptable. You know, a lot of people say,
Sorry, it's so quiet.
does he have a plan? Yeah, of course they do have the best plan ever. I mean, Iran has been defeated militarily, totally. They have a little left. They probably built up during this period of time. We'll knock that out in about a day. But I have a plan. You know, it is a very simple plan. I don't know why you don't say it like it is. Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. They're very dangerous. They're very volatile. It's a terrible thing that's happened over there. They've killed 42,000 people in the last 2 months. 42,000. At least that's what we know of. 42,000 people. They killed numerous people over the last week, but they killed 42,000 people a month and a half ago. They were unarmed protesters, not at all violent protesters, and they started taking them out, shooting them. So we're not going to let them. That's the plan. You know, people say, what's the plan? The plan is very simple. The blockade, first of all, was a part of military genius, just like Venezuela was military genius. We have the greatest military in the world by far. And
So you gave us a little hint there. The protests are starting to ramp up, okay, because of the economic turmoil, and they're starting to shoot down their protesters again. So that's ultimately, and I've always said this, the number one, there's multiple ways to win this, okay, but the best way to win it is the people take the country back. They're starting to show signs of that, and we've been reporting here every time I see something coming out of Iran about the unrest starting to ramp up. There's been reports of the IRGC being very worried about what they're starting to see. Trump just told us it's happening, that people are being shot down again. And this is one of the reasons I think Trump is very confident in where we're at this moment. And what did he just say? He linked the protesters to this is part of the plan. So we're planning on helping them. And I don't know if that's going to be targeted strikes or just more weapons delivered or what. But I think Trump's starting to see this happen. Now listen, this is the last clip I want to play, which is just to me very interesting. Again, kind of tells you where we're at.
I am being waited on by a large group of generals. And that's also important, having to
That
do,
it is. Well, sir,
having to do with the absolutely lovely country of Iran. That's the way they pronounce it.
we will get started then.
Okay.
Mr. President, thank you for your work.
Did you hear what he said? I'm being waited on by generals. That tells me he's got the generals ready to go. So all this is ramping up. How is it going to play out? I don't know. But again, the best hope is the protesters come, they overthrow their government. We're dealing with new leadership, which again, Trump is saying, I don't recognize your leadership. We just covered that. I don't recognize it. They're so-called leaders. Is it because the uprising is starting to finally come to a tipping point? I don't know. None of us do. But what I feel confident about is A, we're either going to see that finally happen. B, we're going to bomb the snot out of them and send them back so far that that they have no choice. Or D, we just keep staying there until the economy collapses and they just have nothing. At which point they probably get overthrown again anyways. Either of these is going to happen. We don't lose. And what Trump is trying to communicate is I have full control of this. And the media is spinning out over this. They are just spitting out every little thing they can. We've lost the Strait of Hormuz. Iran's still in control. Iran can wait us out. How? It's so stupid when you actually look at the real data. The data is their economy is collapsing. Their oil wells are about to get to the point where they're so full they have to turn them off. They are dumping oil into the Gulf. They're burning oil off. They're doing everything they can, but at some point it just becomes too much and they have to shut them off and then they get set back 5-10 years possibly. So that is the red line they can't cross. They just cannot let that happen. But they keep putting up a fight. It makes no sense unless it's a suicidal culture, which it is, a suicidal death cult. And also you have overlords who are telling you, you better not give in, which is also true. So you put those things together and it makes perfect sense why they would just allow themselves to just head on this mission to doom, which it is. It's a mission to doom. And the only thing that's negative for Trump in all this right now is gas prices, which they suck. I mean, I hate paying $4 a gallon. I hated it when Biden did it. I hated it when Obama did it. I hate it now. But now there's at least a reason, and you can see how it's temporary because there's no doubt this man's taken 5.5 years proving to us that he'll get gas down whenever he can. So there's no doubt there. So that's all he's got to wait out. And it's only May. People won't start caring about the midterms till July or August. He's still got time. But I don't think it's going to be much longer. I think we're going to see an end to this month. I really do. Now, the repercussions of all this Iran, the push, the pressure on all these globalist countries, World Economic Forum countries, the push is we're starting to see results come, which never would have happened without Trump. Here's a big one. I'm actually not going to play this clip now because I'm running long. But Alberta is now saying it's officially going to vote on independence. That, my friends, is wild. So Canadians, if you're in Alberta, congratulations. I really hope this passes. Please go vote. And if you're not in Alberta, you guys are going to be in a big trouble if Alberta leaves, because that's a lot of your resources, and it's not like Canada's already in a bad enough place, but it's about to get worse. It's about to get worse for all of Canada except Alberta. But this is huge. This is the kind of thing that doesn't happen without Trump. He's given them the courage, and it's amazing how courage just has a rollover effect and a momentum effect. It's incredible. And then we have Netanyahu saying this. Now, a lot of people are going to be like, oh, he's just lying. Fine. If you want to just go there, if you just always want to be in doomer land where nothing is real unless you agree with it, fine. You can live that life. But Netanyahu came out in an interview in 60 Minutes and said he announces plans to end Israel's reliance on foreign aid. Now, whether this happens or not, okay, they're getting $3.8 billion a year, which honestly for us is like a drop in the bucket. But for them, it's a lot. Whether this happens or not, this is a big knock on the whole grift going on, because he has outwards coming, and they're all going to say, Dave Smith and all them are going to say, well, he's just lying. He doesn't mean it. Imagine if he does mean it. If this happens and they pull off the aid, that entire Israel is controlling U.S. grift goes away. It ends forever. And again, I don't care what you think, because you're either going to see this and be like, oh, that's interesting. Maybe that's going to happen. Or you're going to say, oh, he's lying. He's just trying to say, get out ahead of some. Fine, whatever you believe. That's on you. But I'll tell you right now that this hasn't been brought up before. This hasn't been talked about before. No PM has ever come out and said this. Netanyahu's definitely never said it. If they do this and Iran gets taken care of, there's going to be a whole podcast network out of jobs, because they live on this narrative. Fuentes, Dave Smith, Tucker now. I mean, this, again, is just monstrous. And I got to tell you, again, this doesn't happen without Trump. It doesn't happen without Trump. And it also, to me, says that, Israel's been used by a deep state for a lot of stuff. And because they were founded by the cabal. You go back to the foundings of the modern Israel, Europe, especially UK, was one of the main drivers behind it. They founded it. They got Mossad up and running. It was trained by MI6. I mean, come on. Like, if you see it, you can't unsee it. Okay. And they've been used by that a lot. But this tells to me that there's another narrative out there not many people think about, that there's actually a movement for Israel to get out from under that, just like we are with Trump. And if this is happening, that is, would be, even if it goes down significantly, even if they cut that in half, you're going to see, it's going to be evidence to me that Israel is also on the path to getting free of this. And while it also crushes the whole grifter, Israel controls everything narrative, that is so stupid. So the world is changing because of Iran. And once Iran's over, all this is going to accelerate. And guys, based on what Trump's saying, I think it's going to be over very soon. And we're going to see so much winning after this is done. This is kind of like the thing everybody's waiting for that massive momentum to come back. And it's going to be massive.